Nothing is perfect.
The following is a definition of a creator. A person or thing that brings anything into existence. Why bring this up? 32nd President of the United States, Franklin D. Roosevelt, once said, "The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today."
Keep this saying in mind for the rest of the video. This connects to creating a cosplay for the pumpkin rabbit. How? Seeing as the audience for this video is going to be a mixed bag, I might as well give some context. I was introduced to Marvel's unique style sometime around 2020 with The Walten Files, a non-linear episodic indie horror series here on YouTube, which continues to this day. This series quickly grew to have a team working behind its production and allowed for the vision of creating a tragic, character-rich story possible. And where the star of this video gets his spotlight was in the spin-offs The Mysterious House, as well as in its sequel, The Return of the Pumpkin Rabbit. Crazy upgrade, I know. Seeing as these spin-offs, are where the character who I'll be making a cosplay of is from, it's fitting to give a little rundown. Every Halloween, the Waterman couple, Lorenzo and Rachel Waterman, who are the Pumpkin Rabbit and Witch Sheep respectively, lure victims to their house to do what you'd expect every piece of slasher horror media to do to their main cast. Did I mention this was a slasher? Those shorts are neat, slightly cliche. Slashers inspired by the likes of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Very obvious with the design of the Pumpkin Rabbit in the sequel. This specific design happens to be the one that I'll be recreating as a cosplay. Big ol' ears, fancy purple tie, shirt collar, and apron. I recommend you watch both these shorts. They are amazing displays of hard work and talent. There's such a clear jump in quality all around between the two shorts. That fact is probably something that inspired me to want to make a homage to any of this in the first place. Now, you're probably sitting here thinking, man, I could create a passion project like that. Then you can. But being a creator or an artist isn't as simple as just having the skills to do whatever. Let me tell you a story. My bad for anyone that was here to see a cosplay. The origins of the Walten Files and Pumpkin Rabbit came from an old FNAF fan game Martin attempted to create called Welcome to Bond's Burgers. With little success alongside several delays, the fan game would ultimately get cancelled and mostly lost the time. Now, I'm a big fan of Death of the Offer, but I'm not going to lie about how Martin's development went just to make a point. What I can take out of this, though, is this situation. Is that there was little popularity surrounding the project, and in turn there was little work done to make a finished product that Martin could be proud of keeping public. Compare that to the present, where there's a whole fan base that analyzes and praises every inch of this team's work. All this to ask. The difference between Martin canceling Welcome to Bond's Burgers compared to the continued production and effort being put into the Walten Files YouTube channel right now. Perfectionism getting in the way of progress. Going back to the reason as to why I made a cosplay for this character specifically, it was the middle of October. What date is it? It was the middle of October and I wanted something to do. If I didn't have schoolwork to occupy my brain, then it'd feel like I'd just begin to drift away. Without a plan laid out in front of me, step by step, I stay stagnant. I disassociate. And when I disassociate, I lose my grip on reality. It's really hard to feel anything or do anything. I don't feel like I'm living. Recently, a lot of attention was being brought back to the Walten Files channel as a whole. This is the time of year they normally put out teasers or entirely new content. I hadn't made a Halloween costume in ever, it felt like. What better yet to make a homage to one of my favorite creators is making a costume. A costume of the pumpkin world! Okay, I'm done with that voice. Maybe. I had proposed my idea for a costume to my partner with a little sketch and explanation of what I have in mind. Large cartoon bunny ears and what would be a bendable wire inside. Now, if you had a keen eye, then you could infer I had absolutely no plan on how to keep the ears on my head, which would subsequently bite me in my buttocks later. My partner recommended I go to a craft store like Michael's or Hobby Lobby. One time skip later and I'm running up and down the halls of Michael's looking for any materials that I could possibly use. Okay, a little reminder of how the pumpkin rabbit looks like. Boom. Okay, let's go. I landed on buying the following materials. No guarantee any of these are staying in the final product. 3 types of bendable wire. Plastic foam combs that I could possibly use for the ends of the ears. Some fluffy wool, which was surprisingly good for being in the kids' aisle. Now, just before I left thinking I would have to live working with this hard plastic foam and possibly having to wait a whole another week to get more materials, the absolute goat of a cashier recommended that I check the very back corner of the store once they found out I was basically making a cosplay. Which, yeah, I guess I was. That spot happened to be the only one I didn't look at, and it had the exact foam that I had in mind for this project. The cosplayer's best friend, EVA foam! Oh, I also forgot to mention that there was a whole section of yarn which I just felt didn't have the colors I was looking for. So I ended up using my best friend named Amazon.com and ordered some yarn I knew that I would only need later in the project. So shipping times wouldn't slow me down. Oh. Was it up until 1 in the morning whenever I took this picture? Oh, there we go. The yarn, the wool, and oh hey, what's that? Oh, guess you'll never know. You'll have to watch more of the video to find out. Ooh. Now, at this point, I had gotten everything I felt I needed to make the main attraction of the cosplay, being the bunny ears. But I still needed literally everything other than that, because the pumpkin rabbit is equivalent to Leatherface's persona. I still needed a few articles of clothes that were quite literally what Leatherface wears, but with a new coat of paint. I got the snazzy purple tie you saw in the thumbnail for my glorious babe. Then the lone shirt collar, which kinda implies this freak is like 60% naked. Just saying. Finally, the apron is a secret bonus item I didn't mention I got from Michael's. And that was a trip. And I only spent half of a fortune. At this point, I was finally ready to actually begin this project. But now I was faced with so many choices. Do I use everything I bought? Do I stick to my original ideas for everything? Do I rule out all of my options before taking any risks?
What if I try to use one of the things I bought and I end up ruining it? What if I don't have enough foam? I'm gonna end up ruining this project.
This is the most important step in doing anything. Not because of how you actually make your product, but because of how you mentally choose to progress towards your goal. In clearer words, it does you next to no good freaking out about every little thing. Welcome to Bond's Burgers walked so the Walten files could run. Doubt that failure was going to be the end-all be-all about doing anything, about making their passion project didn't stop anyone.
You know, you gotta be like FDR.
Our doubts of today.
No failure is final.
Just take small steps. And go with the flow.
A small hobby I started to use to keep myself occupied from time to time was papercraft. Building 3D figures from puerile blueprints I'd find online and print out. This still wasn't something that could make me more independent, but at least it was something new. Something I hadn't realized till thinking about making a costume is that making a cosplay is like the next step in papercraft. It's like bigger. At this point, I was dead set on solely using EVA foam to create the shape of the ears. Those plastic weights were not gonna do me any good. I mean, like, seriously, each of those plastic cones weighed like 1/4 of a pound. The wires I got wouldn't even be able to hold that up. totally not foreshadowed. With my phone finally rolled out in front of me and ready to be cut, I have a problem. I gotta turn something flat into a specific shape that I had solely in my head. This was the one and only time I needed to use my computer for the whole process. You don't expect me to wing cutting out material I had a limited supply of and hoping it resulted in the exact shape I envisioned, did you? Savant. Okay, hyperbole aside, I knew it would be far more convenient to treat this craft like how I would paper craft. I would just have to make an entire 3D model that I would have to then flatten out its design, then translate onto the phone. Quickly, I rushed to Blender and made a rudimentary model of ears, then scavenged the internet for a program that I could use to convert a model into a flat image, somehow. Papercura was my best bet, as it was the only free program I could find that did literally everything I needed, and provided measurements for everything. Insane work. Chef's kiss to the programmers. Part 4. My first attempt at a model flattened horribly, but with a little bit of courage, I mustered up the will to ignore the time that I might have felt went to waste and completely started the model over from the ground up. But with my lack of wisdom in either software, I decided to choose the uncomfortable options of throwing myself into something I couldn't handle. Ramble aside, I got the measurements for the meter-long ears, hello? This is where the grind began. Drawing the measurements, cutting out bits, gluing said bits together. I had to get creative at times when gluing because the glue refused to stay together. Another thing that refused to cooperate were the wires that I ended up planning to shove into the ears and have wrap around a wire headband. There were so many huge issues with this approach. One, since I was wrapping a not flat wire around a not flat wire, the ears spun around like crazy and would not stay in place. In tandem with this, which is 2, the wire couldn't even hold up the lightweight foam, not even whenever I double coiled it. Which, mind you, these ears didn't even weigh as much as the plastic cones. Alas, one of the only great Twitter users once said, "Make it exist first, then improve it later." Now at another seemingly infinitely deep hole, we need things happening, people! I had 2 ideas. Keep the wire, but have it wrap around a headband. Or I could get a buckle strap that I could wrap around my head, then scrap the wire idea. The idea planned day 1 of the project entirely. So, first big pivot in the road, 1 Amazon order later, and boom. What do you know? The random item I blurred a while ago were straps! With 2 cuts on each side of each ear, I could slip the strap through them and buckle it on my head. Boom! Function cosplay that totally doesn't hurt after wearing it for more than 2 minutes. I have made a severe lapse in my judgment. One of the yarn colors was way too red. In fact, I realized I prefer the color of the fuzzy wool over the color of this yarn, which would take several days to get in a different color. Halloween is in how many days? 3 days! I could take the risk and buy a better color of yarn that has a possibility of arriving after Halloween, or I could sit in my little comfort zone and end up with a project that I end up not being as proud of as I could have been. So you bet I took that risk. I wouldn't say this decision was a nitpick that put my goal in danger. The goal wasn't to make something by Halloween, or to make something I could gain some sort of validation from others through. I wanted to make something that I was proud of. Something I could look back on and appreciate the fact I chose my choices wisely. My goal was to fix what needed to be fixed, without letting small things get in the way. Hey, remember that theme statement I threw at you and asked you to remember at the start of this video? Perfect everything means perfect nothing, blah blah blah. Okay, good? Okay. Of course, I would attempt to finish within my own deadline of Halloween, but I was willing to take a risk and fix a flaw that would make or break whether I could appreciate my work. I guess that's the main reason people fall into perfectionism, isn't it?
Not appreciating your own work? I have seen so many people in my lifetime do so many phenomenal things. Those things may be their standard for spectacle or quality, but it doesn't make the passion or hard work they put into it any less valuable, no matter how valueless it feels compared to others. We fail to find love in ourselves through what we've done. It's tragic, but it's something we've all experienced before. Doubt. Now back to the main question of this video. What is perfectionism and how do we reject it for the better? Maybe that's not the exact thing, but anyway. Perfectionism stems from doubt. How I see it. Self-doubt. Doubt that something you see as imperfect within yourself can even have the same value as another thing you view perfect. Looking at things this way is fundamentally flawed, because nothing is perfect. You can't expect that your perspective or interpretation of the world around you is definitively true, no matter how much it feels it does. We can all find our own ways to deal with doubt. No one person is the same, so I can't just throw a solution to you and expect it to work for you. What I can say though is how I've chosen to deal with self-doubt. I've chosen not to depend on validation from others to appreciate myself. No matter how dependent I may be on others for guidance and growing up, which ranges from very dependent to very rebellious in my case, I evaluate myself, and of course allow room for critiques from others. Very much appreciate if you critique me and what I believe in the comment section below. Now you can always evaluate yourself and still be objectively flawed, but at least then you know the biggest things you can improve on. To all the people that came to this video to see some cool fan projects for the Walten files, or wanted to see someone pour their passion into a cosplay, or just put this video on in the background for background noise and haven't looked at the screen much, go ahead and look now. Here it is. The culmination of a months-long effort, all in a neat little package. The dislike-worthy wording aside, I'm surprised how well this turned out. I'm proud. I'm proud of myself. And I tried something new. And then continuing to try something new by writing the script for this very video essay, I'm doing more for myself. I want this video to be a motivator for everyone. A motivator to do more for yourself. A motivator that can motivate others just the same the Walten Files team motivated me. Motivated me to create. Even with the urge to make everything perfect all the time, even with the pressure of time, even in doubt, I don't have to rely on others to make myself appreciate myself. I was able to do something that I was proud of. And I think that's more than enough for me. Take these as life lessons, if you will. Perfectionism of the smaller picture hinders pursuing the necessities of the bigger picture. So make something exist first. Then you can make it better later. Because failure isn't final. I seek freedom from the pressure. So I make sure nothing
It's perfect.
I'm done with the video!
Don't sing if you want to live long. They have no use for your song. You're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead and out of this world.
Welcome to Bob. Welcome to Walten.
You'll never get a second chance. Plan all your moves in advance. Stay dead, stay dead, stay dead, stay dead and out of this world. Run fast, don't stand in the sun. There's too much work to be done. You're down, you're down, you're down, you're down and out of this world. Don't ever talk with your eyes. Be sure that you compromise.
So even if I have no clue how it's really like to feel anxiety through every nook and cranny of my life, I want to at least help someone, at least one person. I want to be able to help a part of others that I don't have. I want people to be able to do what they want in life. I guess I can throw as many profound things into your guys' faces, but even if I can't give anyone the experience of living a different life, I want to at least help people lead themselves into a better one. Even if it's the smallest change.